Ooh, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 70 of the Stand Up Guys podcast, the Big 7-0. I'm your host, the incomparable Zach Jones, and I'm joined, as always, by the Romulus to my Remus, Lester Jones.
Remus sounds like he gets reamed.
By the way, did you salute again instead of saying hi or something on an audio podcast?
I don't know. It's both.
All right. And, of course, it wouldn't be our show if we didn't have the ninth wonder, Chocolate Thunder, dropping fitties and grabbing titties, a nip flicking, deep dicking, swimming in boobies like Scrooge McDuck and rubies, the phenomenal A.J. Singh.
How'd you find out all the information about me?
It's the digital age.
I have my sources.
You see, I just paid money to Facebook and they give you all your information.
Well, off the top, I want everyone to know that we did see Ghostbusters Afterlife, so we will be doing a review of that a little later on. Did you guys have any other stories from the week or things you watched during the week?
Yeah. I've still been watching, Ghosts. Funny show. I like it. It gets better with each episode, in my opinion. And today we had the cops called on us because our carpenter, who's like putting up crown molding in our house, parked in front of our driveway, but I think he moved the neighbors' like trash cans or something. Like something happened where their recycling didn't get picked up.
Ooh.
Yeah, they were apparently furious.
Spicy.
They were furious, so they called the cops, and the carpenter got a warning.
Man.
And we were like, what the heck?
So now you know you live next to a real Karen.
Yeah.
If I was a cop and I got called out on one of those calls, whoever made the call would be like, who made this call? Who fucking made this call?
Yeah.
And I just beat him to death.
I mean, you could have just told us, like, hey, this happened. Please, let's not let that happen again. Obviously, we were like,
We're like
work with it, but
our scary brown neighbors with our trash.
Yeah. Allah Akbar, motherfucker.
well, I think our neighbor is black, though. We think, like, the guy is black, his wife is white. We think. We're not sure. But
And you guys move in and they're like, there goes the neighborhood.
If one thing we can agree upon.
Yeah, that happened.
What about you? You've been doing anything or watching anything?
I don't remember anything from this week.
That'll
I may as well take drugs.
that'll help our Ghostbusters review.
I do remember that. That was good. I had my birthday. We watched Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I was trying to think. I thought I saw you watching something, but now I don't remember.
Yeah, I've been watching like a hodgepodge. Mostly stuff I've watched before.
Oh, okay.
I watched some Harry Potter. I watched some Star Wars.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
Star Wars. Is what
They're bringing Harry Potter back for some reunion or something.
Yeah, I heard about that. There's something where like, what's her name? The author is not invited.
Yeah,
or
she's not
something.
invited. JK.
Isn't it just
That one.
kind of like a round table discussion, like remembering the movies or something? It's not an actual, like...
They're afraid she's going to out some more people or something.
Yeah, you were gay and you were gay.
Well, they say she's written some stuff that made her, like, seem anti-trans or some bullshit. I don't really follow
Oh, so
it.
she's canceled from her own stuff even.
I guess.
Oh, the world's retarded.
Well, the weird thing is like, I
And now
can't...
I'm just offended.
I haven't, like, done a deep dive on the things she's, like, posted and shit. Maybe if I did, I'd feel differently. But I remember seeing one thing that apparently riled some people up, and I read it, and I'm like, this doesn't seem that extreme.
Right.
But apparently the trans community doesn't like her or something. I don't know. I watched a couple different things. So since I had my HBO subscription just a little longer, it's expired now. But I watched another Turner Classic. This one was called The Most Dangerous Game. And I think they've done like various remakes of this. But basically it's, this guy's, he's on a ship. It goes down. He ends up on this weird island. And it's ran by this rich guy who he finds out, hunts people. And it's, this thriller where, he's got to survive. I think this movie was just a little too basic. Like, There's probably been remakes done that are actually better than this. And it was only like an hour-long movie, too.
Is it like the 40s version or something? Because there was something like this. I think that sounded like the same name as like the Zodiac Killer got off on or something.
Oh, it was like, yeah, an old black and white movie. Yeah, probably 30s, 40s. It was, yeah.
What do you mean the Zodiac Killer was like a big fan of it or something?
Like, I think in one of his like encrypted messages, like he'd mentioned it or a reference to it or something.
No, I didn't know that. But yeah, it's fine, but you can skip it. It's nothing to write home about. So I also like, once I get HBO back, I'll definitely dip into this series again. I decided, Aquafina from Shang-Chi.
Right.
She's got a series on there called Nora from Queens.
Oh yeah.
And like, I watched probably about 5 episodes of it. It's kind of a quirky show, but it definitely made me laugh a few times. Like in the show, like she lives with her dad and her grandma, and like there's this one episode where like she's alone, so she like is planning on on masturbating, and she has like this really like comically oversized vibrator, which made me laugh. And then there's this other episode where she gets kicked in the vag, and then she can't stop queefing. It's definitely I'll definitely pick it up again. It made me laugh. And then lastly, on Netflix, I started watching the live-action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, I heard that's bad.
Well, see, I saw some rumblings online that, people really weren't liking it. Like, I'm 5 episodes in, and I think it's a 10-episode season, so I'm halfway through. And, like, I've seen, like, there's some clunky dialogue, maybe, but I haven't come across anything, like, offensively bad. Maybe in the last half there's something really bad. But so far, like, it's not
But have you
terrible.
seen the anime?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're comparing it? And...
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's been a while since I watched the anime, and I'm generally not a big anime fan, but I actually did like the anime series.
And I remember watching it and enjoying it, and I remember absolutely nothing from it.
Yeah, I should really revisit it again. But yeah, generally I don't like anime, but that one did hold my attention. And I think it's only like 26 episodes, the anime, so it's not like a ridiculous time commitment.
Yep.
But I don't know. Maybe I'll have different feelings once I finish the season out. But I mean, there was a few dialogue moments that I kind of rolled my eyes out. But other than that, like I haven't come across anything that I really didn't like. But I certainly, even though I like the anime, I'm not as like diehard as some people are about it. So maybe like the real diehard fans have some sort of problem with it. I don't know. Man, you guys have anything else before we kind of get into doing some stories?
Nothing from the week, no.
All right, so yeah, I figure we'll go around and kind of do some stories, and then after that, we'll get into Ghostbusters. But if anyone who hasn't watched, basically, we're just going to go around. Everyone's going to bring a news story or topic of conversation to the table, and then we'll chat it up. And as tradition dictates, AJ, we usually start with you. So what do you got for us?
All right. A mystery vigilante group has reportedly been rounding up thieves in a Mexican city, tying them to lampposts and painting their faces like the Joker. Footage has been shared on social media showing a number of alleged criminals having been stopped in their tracks by unidentified have-a-go heroes. One photo posted to Twitter was of a man and woman who had apparently been caught trying to steal someone's purse in Rio Bravo over the weekend. As well as giving the couple a makeover, the man also has the words, "I am a rat," painted across his chest, with the same words written across the woman's head. After managing to break free from the restraints, the woman was reportedly about to try and untie her partner when a patrol car spotted them and stopped by to see what was going on. Speaking about the bungled theft, the man allegedly involved is reported as having said, "I went after the woman. I took her purse. It was easy. I grabbed the purse to flee. Right now there is no work and there is no money. It's that easy for me to do that. I beg for the woman's forgiveness. It was not right in the head. I was not right in the head. I was under the influence of drugs. I am very sorry. Please forgive me." Another photo posted online shows a group of men, again with their faces painted like the DC villain, walking in a line after having had their hands tied to one another. But it's not just in Mexico where mysterious vigilantes have been roaming the streets. Earlier this week, a California-based vigilante who calls himself the Stockton Batman Stockton Batman, claimed he had a double murder suspect. The man refers to himself as Bruce Wayne and says he has captured hundreds of criminals over the years. The Stockton Batman was allegedly in the town of Lodi, where he spotted a local man covered in blood and had slice wounds to his hands and leg. The Batman says he saw the two victims, who were near train tracks in an area between Century Park and Salis Park. The vigilante detained the double murder suspect and immediately called the police. The police is currently in hospital. The suspect is currently in the hospital, but police have not confirmed if the suspect is being detained for the crimes. A reporter for CBS Sacramento said it wasn't clear whether the hospitalized man was even involved in the double homicide or whether the Stockton Batman assisted the process in any way. Police are not commenting on the man's claims. They haven't even let us know or confirmed how many people died. The man who calls himself Stockton's Batman claims in a social media post the two victims were stabbed, said the reporter. Vigilantes in Mexico and now in California. I heard about the one in Seattle. He had like a downward spiral. He turned out to be, I think, selling drugs or something.
Oh, here I've gone bad. He lived long enough to see himself become the villain.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm all for this. I want to see real life superheroes.
But the problem is, if they're all like that Seattle guy, they're going to be busting each other all the time because everybody's got something.
There's gonna be like a Justice League of people with like mental problems.
Yeah. They'll never like finish their meetings.
I'm all for it though.
Yeah.
Makes life more interesting.
Yeah, it does. Thinking about becoming a vigilante, Lester?
I don't want to go to jail.
I know, yeah.
That's what the mask is for.
Well, these guys are like waiting for the cops. They're like, hey, look, see, we caught them.
Yeah.
Like,
You can just Superman it. Take your glasses off when
I
you're
do like
busting
this Spider-Man. You just tie him up and leave him.
yeah,
Be
that's
like,
the
the
better-
cops will find him.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Batman does that sometimes too.
BDS and him, man.
Batman beats up like homeless people who are trying to get like a sandwich. Batman goes too far.
There are like some writers who I think generally like feel that way about Batman. He's just this like guy that beats up like homeless and mentally ill people. I don't really agree with that take, but it's a take.
Yeah, I mean, petty crime, those people I feel like are more likely to have like mental illness. It's like the organized crime that you like really, you know, those are the guys who got a plan and are doing something bad.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne's got to start like taking down like the corporations.
Yeah. Money laundering and stuff.
Yeah.
Corporate tax fraud.
I guess, yeah, there could be a vigilante that just like takes down like corporate pieces of shit.
Wasn't that Danny Rand? The terrible, terrible Iron Fist.
I don't know. I gave up on that shit.
Yeah.
I think that if someone just went around beating up like auditors for the IRS, I could get behind that.
No, I feel like the government would come down hard on somebody. Right. Don't mess with our money.
Yeah. Beating up homeless, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't fuck with the IRS.
Yeah.
All right. Should we go to Manifesto round 1?
All right. North Korean man sentenced to death for smuggling copies of Squid Game into the country.
I just saw this headline, but I didn't read it, so I'm curious about this.
So apparently, like, one guy smuggled it in. He sold it to a student on a flash drive, and like 5 or 6 students watched it. So the guy who smuggled it has been sentenced to death. The kid who bought it got like life in prison, and like the other 5 or 6 got like 5 years of hard labor.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's...
I mean,
Like,
I don't know if we can confirm that, though. Some of it makes me think like it's just us, our propaganda.
News never leaves North Korea.
Yeah.
that's true. You do wonder how any stories ever get out in North Korea.
Yeah.
It does seem rare that stories come out.
But, like, let's say it's true. Like,
It's from the Washington Post, so...
let's say it's true. Like, what's their spiral of, like, thinking? Like, like, oh, this guy saw an outside show. Like, what in their mind makes that so bad that they would be willing to kill somebody?
I mean, I don't know. You can't question logic.
It's such a crazy level of control.
Well, if we go based on like what we are told about North Korea, it sounds like they have this whole narrative that's built out for all of their citizens to like believe in and follow.
Right. So this is under legislation called Law on the Elimination of Reactionary Thought and Culture, which can result in the death penalty for watching, owning, or distributing media from capitalist countries.
It probably didn't help that it was South Korean either, because they hate South Koreans, right?
But Kim Jong-un like used to watch Hollywood movies like crazy. He was like the biggest Chicago Bulls fan.
Oh, I can guarantee you that he still does.
Yeah, it doesn't count for people with power.
Man, that's crazy. You would think like, oh, I enjoy that. Maybe they would too. That's crazy, man.
God.
Life in prison, death sentence.
They could have at least like created their own Squid Games for these people, so one of them had a chance.
Yeah.
You're playing the Squid Game just by trying to watch a video.
Yeah, no shit.
That was worse. They all lost. Well, I guess they lived.
Some of them only got 5 years.
Yeah, some only got
labor.
Although I gotta say, if I lived in North Korea and I knew that was the law, like, well, first of all, I wouldn't have like bought the video to begin with. But if I did, I certainly wouldn't have been showing it to other people.
And the thing is, what I feel like, if this guy was out of the country, I wouldn't have been coming back in.
Yeah.
I'd rather be in jail in South Korea or something.
How much is a kid in North Korea able to pay you for a flash drive of a movie? Like, is it worth it?
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is like, how much could this guy have really gotten out of it?
Yeah.
But the other thing too is like,
yeah, the only thing I'd be trying to smuggle is my ass out of the country.
The people in North Korea are so poor that you would think like if the student would be spending all his money on like food.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong though. I don't know.
But maybe we're told weird things about North Korea. I don't know. Because like I don't know, America, we have a way of like telling a story about people, and it might be a different story from the reality. I don't know.
They definitely do have the hard labor camps. And I think there's been like a couple people who have escaped North Korea and have kind of told some tales.
I've seen a video of a guy like running out of there and getting shot at. Like, it's nuts, man.
It's crazy that they'll shoot you if you try to escape.
Yeah.
I know. Can you imagine like being basically born in a prison is what it is?
Yeah.
Crazy. Anything more on that one?
No.
Well, last week I told a bunch of testicle stories, and I got another one this week.
Oh, my favorite.
Oh, yes.
Woman bites the testicles of a camel at a petting zoo.
What the?
Poor camel. Yeah.
Well, it starts just how you think it would. A Florida woman bit a camel's testicles at a truck stop petting zoo in Louisiana and was cited later for criminal trespassing, according to reports.
What the fuck?
Louisiana authorities say at a truck stop petting zoo, the camel sat on the lady after she crawled inside its enclosure. Evidently, the woman's pet dog ran inside the enclosure and she chased the dog into it. She told detectives she bit the 600-pound camel after he sat on her.
Oh.
I bit his balls to get him off of me, remarked.
Paints a picture.
Iberville Parish Deputy Lewis Hamilton Jr. Well, when she sat down, she was underneath him, Pamela Bassier. The Tiger truck stop manager told local reporters, quote, I might feel kind of funny saying this on TV, but she actually bit him in the private area. That's about as nice as I can put it. The woman was transported to a hospital. Police gave her and her mate...
Shouldn't the camel have been transported to?
Police gave her and her mate summonses for not having their dog on a leash and on a trespassing charge. The camel did nothing wrong, Hamilton stressed to local news. They were aggressive. The camel was just doing its normal routine. The truck stop once owned a tiger, igniting yet another controversy. Bossier claimed the tiger never attempted to attack anyone nor have the establishment's other wild animals. Casper the camel included. He's really a gentle giant, she spoke to the paper in regards to the camel.
This is a bad day to be a camel.
Yeah.
Minding your business, a little dog yapping at you.
Yeah.
You sit down
Sit
and
on
all of a
some
sudden...
bench.
Some crazy Florida woman comes and bites your ball.
nuts.
I bet the camel testicles are pretty big.
Yeah, I
I would
bet.
imagine. I heard that
Now
like-
she's addicted.
like their bodies are so good at retaining water that they pee like basically like this thick syrup.
Oh, wow.
I was like,
Whoa.
that's a
That's a bad visual.
that's a bad one. Yeah, imagine just pissing thick gloppy like syrup.
You know, though, since it's rare, we should bottle camel urine and like sell it and like say it's an aphrodisiac.
Boil it into beer or something. I was thinking when, like at the rodeo, when they have the bulls to like piss them off before they go, like out, don't they like slap them in the nuts or rubber band their nuts or do?
They tie their
don't
nuts.
They tie their nuts just to piss them off.
Something like that.
Although to be fair, this woman might not have had a whole lot of choice. Like if a 600-pound animal like sits on you,
Yeah,
like how much
you could die.
Yeah, so you're gonna rip and
You're
tear
gonna bite those
whatever's
nuts,
close
yeah.
to you. Yeah, and if the nuts happen to be in your mouth area,
All
that's
the
what you're
better.
gonna do.
But, like, did she sit down in the camel's pen first?
Well, it sounded like she followed her dog in there to get her dog, and then I don't know exactly how it happened, but somehow the camel ended up sitting on her.
Yeah.
So I don't know how she got in position for that to happen, but it happened apparently.
It'd be weird if you were standing up and then the camel just took you down with it, like, to sit down.
But yeah, I saw that story and I was like, that seems like a good
The
story.
survival story for the ages.
All right, AJ, round 2.
All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, this one's, whew. 3 people are dead and hundreds are injured after inclement weather roused hordes of venomous scorpions out of their hiding places into the streets and homes. Vicious rain, dust storms, and snow in the southern city of Aswan last week drove out scorpions as well as snakes, Al Aram, a government-run Egyptian newspaper, reports. 3 people have died from scorpion stings and 450 have been injured by the stings thus far. Those who have been injured are being treated with anti-venom in hospitals as well as in medical centers that are located in remote areas. Health officials have even called for doctors who are on vacation to help treat the influx of patients. In the meantime, residents are being asked to stay in their homes. Ashraf Atiya, Aswan governor, also limited traffic for a time, closing local highways to prevent accidents due to limited mobility in the rain, and the outlet reports. Scorpion stings can be lethal. The Egyptian fat-tailed scorpion, a species found throughout northern Africa, in particular has been described as one of the most deadly in the world, according to the St. Louis Zoo. Man, that is terrifying.
Yeah.
The only thing scarier than that is like if a bunch of black widows that were like a foot long started like coming out into the streets and like attacking everybody. But
Like nature's got some freaky shit and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I think our uncle lived in Arizona and like he said he drove through a migration of either like scorpions or tarantulas. And he said just like it was like driving on ice or something. Just like
oh my
sliding.
gosh.
I was like, that's pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Pretty terrifying too.
That
Yeah.
is terrifying, man.
That's like stuff nightmares.
if
for
your
me.
car stopped there, you'd be so screwed.
Yeah.
They must have been on his car too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you guys have scorpions in Texas?
I've seen a couple little ones.
Okay, I never saw
Not in
one.
Houston, but I saw some out in the desert.
Dang, yeah, I heard in like Arizona, New Mexico, they have those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, screw that.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
That is like one thing that was good about like growing up in where we did is like it was cold enough that you don't really get like a lot of the nasty shit that you get in other places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tropical environments. Australia. I think we talked about it.
We've many times. Yeah, Australia's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, Southeast Asia, they got those big old pythons and all kinds of stuff. Like, man, tropical environments are just
Yeah, if you
Scary.
get like South American jungles and stuff, there's a lot of shit in there.
And like like swamps with like crocodiles and water moccasins, all sort of nasty shit.
In India, we have the king cobras.
Ugh, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I've seen videos of some of them. Some of the fuckers are fast, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're like 20, 25 feet long or something. They're huge.
All snakes are fast. That's
It's like-
one of the scariest things about them, man.
Oh, it depends on the temperature.
Yeah, those
No,
big
no.
like anacondas are kind of slow. I think. Like, I've seen like a
Yeah,
guy
the
like.
constrictors, they can still strike though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I don't know if an anaconda strikes like fast. It probably does.
Yeah. Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah, I guess I'm like someone who's not really scared at horror movies, but if they made a snake-based horror movie, like I would have a hard time watching
Snakes
it.
on a plane.
I've never watched that, and I never will.
Arachnophobia was my thing. I watched that movie too.
That maybe would creep me out too. To be honest, I don't like spiders either.
Yeah, back in the day.
I think I maybe did see that movie when I was younger. I don't remember.
I mean, they must have used some real spiders in that movie, right?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, some species of tarantula.
Jeez.
I'd love it if you got to the end of the movie and there were like a lot of spiders died in the making of this movie.
Yes.
When we lit that barn on fire, there's like a million spiders in there. All
was like-
real.
It was like a genocide. And nobody would care. Nobody would give a shit. All right, another round of manifesto.
Oh, here's a fun one. Donald Trump awarded honorary 9th degree Taekwondo black belt. He's now better than Chuck Norris.
Wait, what?
Basically the highest rank you can get.
Oh my god.
Even though his fat ass has never like done any Taekwondo or anything.
Who gave this to him?
He had his name, but I was like, what? Yeah, what the fuck?
He'd still get his ass kicked. Like, this is crazy. Why would you honor
It says a Taekwondo governing body from South Korea.
Oh, wow. This is prestigious.
Yeah.
But
Honorary degrees are such bullshit.
They must like his chances of being president again.
like I wonder how much this costs.
I really feel like colleges and stuff only give honorary
He even
degrees.
dresses up for the
Oh, really?
Oh, he did. Oh my gosh.
Institutions.
How do you
He's like a
just,
child.
you don't feel like the least bit of shame or like
Ridiculous.
just like yeah.
And they're obviously only doing it to like promote their place. But like, what business does it help? Is like, oh, Donald Trump
Yeah.
got something from our institution. Like, oh, yay!
Yeah.
That's how we get those shin splints. Is
That
doing
seems-
all that taekwondo.
That's almost patronizing, right? Like, he's even dressed up in it. and-
Like if I was like if I had like even like a low level black belt, I would be deeply offended.
I'd be like, people are gonna know.
He's like, I worked 3 years for this yellow belt.
Well, he's gonna be in the Hawkeye show then, isn't he?
Hey, who do you think is more worthy? Barack Obama getting like the Nobel Peace Prize just for being elected president, or this?
Oh, this is more worthy, I think.
I felt bad about the Peace Prize because it's like he hadn't even been in office. I'm like, oh, here you go.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if it was from some like policy or something that he passed, but
They're like, oh, holy shit, you're black in America.
I mean, that's really what it was. Which
Yeah. First black president.
nothing.
But the Peace Prize in particular has a pretty bad history. So
Yeah, didn't like Nazis win it before?
Well, yeah. Apparently, I had to eat a piece of black licorice because like Hitler and
yeah.
Stalin.
well, Hitler was nominated on kind of like a lark, like it was a.
This would be goofy.
Yeah, right. It was bullshit. But Stalin was actually nominated for real for some piece of legislation or something, and what a piece of shit he was. So yeah, it's a questionable prize.
We should create like basically like a Razzies version of the Nobel.
Right. Here's your black belt, Mr. President.
And once again, the winner for like worst human rights violations, Kim Jong Un. He could do like worst kiss of a foreign dictator or something. Well, should we switch over and do Ghostbusters, guys?
All right, I'm up for that.
And if we have any time left at the end, maybe we'll throw in another story or two. But all right, so yeah, over the weekend we went to the theater and we saw Ghostbusters Afterlife. Directed by Jason Reitman, the official synopsis reads thusly. When a single mother and her 2 children move to a new town, they soon discover they have a connection to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their grandfather left behind. The movie stars Carrie Coon as Callie, Finn Wolfhard as Trevor, McKenna Grace as Phoebe, Paul Rudd as Mr. Gruberson, Celeste O'Connor. It just says Phoebe's classmate. I don't know if they ever gave her a name, but it's basically the girl that her brother was pining after.
Was she called Lucky?
I don't know if they named her or not. And Logan Kim is Podcast. And
that was an awful name, by the way.
yeah, it makes what we do here feel throwaway.
He stole my name. Podcast.
Sound like radio.
Okay, guys. So first, we're just going to kind of go through and give our spoiler-free impressions, and then we'll go into kind of more spoiler-filled plot breakdown. But guys, yeah, just off the top, no spoilers. What do you guys think of the movie? AJ, I'll have you go first.
I liked it. First half seemed a little not so great to me, but second half I liked. It was it all came together.
So you thought maybe the build-up was a little too slow?
Yeah, slow, and also some of the jokes just didn't land for me. You know, they I know they were like trying to be kid friendly, but I didn't think they were funny at all.
One of them made me laugh. But what about you?
I don't know. I felt like it was a good mixture of story and nostalgia, and kind of trying to tie in to be an actual kind of sequel to the original stuff. And I think it all came together all right. There were a couple things that felt a little wonky, maybe, but all in all, pretty good.
Yeah, I'll say I definitely liked the movie, but and well, it's kind of interesting to me that they basically took an existing franchise and put it into a different genre, because like all the other ones were basically like, you know, horror comedies, I guess, action
I would
comedies.
say that was the mix, yeah.
And this one was more of like a kid's adventure movie. I mean, I guess it still had, I guess, some horror elements because the ghosts and some humor too, but it definitely took a different angle on the whole thing.
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, I will say I like the movie. If I had one criticism, which we'll get to, is I think they traded a little too heavy on nostalgia and maybe plugged in a few too many things from the past instead of just kind of blazing their own trail and doing their own thing. But yeah, it sounds like to different degrees we all kind of like the movie. All right, so yeah, with that out of the way, now we will go into a more spoiler-filled, so all warnings here, spoilers ahead, synopsis here. So I'll have you guys help me out. I always try to remember these the best I can, but it's been a week. So basically we open, we're in this town, is it Somerville?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to be Wyoming? It's some sort of like low populous state, I want to say.
Yeah.
It's Midwest.
Oklahoma, I think.
Maybe it's Oklahoma. Okay.
Yeah, breadbasket territory, something.
I'm pretty
like
sure the
that.
whole movie was shot in Canada, but yeah, it's supposed to be like, yeah, Oklahoma or somewhere. Anyway, so the movie opens on, what we'll find out is an older Egon, although, of course, Harold Ramis is dead. So this guy is all shown in shadow, basically. He's in his truck. He's driving really fast. He's being chased by something. He goes to this, well, actually, the truck wrecks, right, into the...
Right, so I think it shows like the trap is next to him and it's got something in it.
Yeah.
It's like smoking or something. So he's racing down the road and something's chasing him. And I think basically he's almost home and the thing like catches the truck or something.
Yeah, something like that, and it causes him to crash in the field by his house.
Yeah.
But he's in it. He gets out and he runs to the house, and then like he stops at the porch and like he holds it open, he holds the trap open because like the ghost is coming towards him through the field.
It's trying to get this other entity back.
And then, like, as the thing gets there, like, he tries to turn on this trap, which is also, like, connected to this like, electric
Right, he's got
generator or something.
well, he's got like a gigantic set of capacitors out in the field,
Yeah.
and
They look
basically-
short out.
basically he's designed a booby trap that's big enough to capture. Well, we'll get into it, but Gozer has returned. This is what we call
Right.
Gozer. So he tries to create a trap that's basically big enough to trap this god Gozer. But so this is before. This is like a entity of one of the dog creatures, right? But it's in like a manifest form. It's not a dog form right here.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if they actually show this ghost or not.
They showed it as kind of like a black fog chasing him.
Okay.
But yeah, so at the last minute when this thing's coming for him, he tries to set off this booby trap he has set up and it malfunctions.
Yeah.
And so he runs in the house. He hides the trap that has the second dog in it, the dog entity creature.
Oh, right.
So
The
he
lock and the
he hides
gatekeeper.
that, and then basically he sits down in his chair and he waits for this other one to come to him.
And he grabs I forget what they call them, but the little ghost detector thing.
Right, he's got one of them. Yeah, should know what that's called.
I should too, but
EMF meter or whatever.
Yeah.
something like that, yeah. And then like this thick fog like rolls in, and we see like the ghostly arms like reach through his chair and like kill him.
Right, that happens like the same as Dana in the original Ghostbusters. Now,
Oh, see, it's been so long since I watched it that I didn't even make that connection.
Yeah.
but what's weird is like instead of being like possessed or whatever, like he dies there.
Yeah, it just
It
kills
doesn't
him.
really. Yeah, he either kills him or he has a heart attack or whatever, but he dies.
Well, that's the thing I was wondering is because and
because he didn't get
they
possessed.
say he dies of like his daughter's under the impression that he died of a heart attack. So that leaves me with the impression that this thing didn't like leave big old like gouge marks in him or anything.
Right.
I mean, so what was the thing? Like, was it Gozer? Like, what?
I think it was one of the dog creatures, but it's unclear.
I'm pretty sure it's the dog creatures because you have the two. You have the gatekeeper and the keymaster, whatever. So he trapped one in that trap, and you see it escape later.
Yeah.
So he trapped one, and the other one chases him down, but then he hides it or whatever.
Okay.
And I guess after he dies, the second one goes back to the pit or whatever to that.
Hey, remind me because I remember she finds the EMF or whatever detector under the chair. Where did she find the trap?
So basically, there was kind of like a hidden puzzle in the floorboards where you move stuff around.
That's right. So we don't actually see him put that there, right?
But he had to.
But he
yeah.
had to have.
Yeah, so he hid it, and then he sat in the chair and waited for the creature to get him.
Which that puzzle thing was pretty intricate. He put a lot of thought into it. Okay, but yeah, he dies. And so we cut to like a week later. We're introduced to his daughter, played by Carrie Coon, who apparently never had a relationship with him, didn't even know him. And so she has like an ill opinion of him because she's like, oh, he just left us, you know. And then we're introduced to her kids, played by Finn Wolfhard, is like her older teenage son. And like he does a fine job, but he's basically just like your average like teenage boy character, I guess. And then McKenna Grace, I believe her name is, plays Phoebe, the younger sister. And she's actually, I thought, the standout of this movie. Like, her character is much more, like, endearing and, like...
Yeah, she's very good. She has a lot of Egon's qualities.
Yeah.
There's hints of, like, possible spectrum disorder.
Yeah.
And maybe hints for that for Egon as well.
That's true, yeah.
But
But, like...
she's good.
We instantly like her basically see that she's like kind of a child genius. Like she's like rewiring the house and shit, and like she's like really into science. But basically, the landlord comes and he's like, "Hey, the mom, like you're gonna get evicted because you're not paying the rent or whatever." She's having money troubles.
Right. She says she's going to go on this vacation to get whatever was left to her, and she'd come back and pay. And the guy's like, "When you get back, all your stuff is gonna be gone."
Yeah. So like, yeah, they're basically going to Oklahoma or wherever this Somerville place is to
live.
Originally just to. She's planning on selling
Whatever
the
she
house
can,
and getting as much money and then going back. But then soon after they get there, like she decides like to stay there.
I don't know how. That's a piece of shit house.
Yeah, it was a dump.
Yeah. So they roll up on this house, and like, there's all these like crazy signs. Like quoting Revelations.
Right, from the first one as well.
Well, is that in the first one?
It's a quote from Ray. Or maybe it was Winston. They were talking about the end of days.
The thing about this movie is they made it seem like Egon was much crazier than he ever was in the original movies.
Right, and it kind of gets to that later, but basically, at some point after they've done the thing in New York, like all the ghost activity pretty much dies down, and then like he goes off on this crazy rant about what's really going on in the world or something, and like they're not convinced, and then he basically ends up stealing all their equipment and running out into the country, and that's kind of the end of the Ghostbusters.
See, that didn't really ring true to me because like, even though Egon was weird, like they all knew he's like fucking a genius, and I don't believe that if he gave them this warning, they would have just been like, "Oh, Egon," I think they would have been like, "Oh, shit's up," like he knows what he's fucking talking about. We better go to this place and sort it out.
Another part though is like you're talking about how they pulled like Gozer and stuff from the other film, where maybe it would have been better to have something completely different. It's like, yeah, obviously they're going to believe you if you say, "Hey, yeah, Gozer could be coming back."
Yeah,
like
that's
you
another
dealt
thing.
with this.
That's another
like,
thing.
oh yeah, this is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing that makes me not believe it because like they know how dangerous Gozer is. So if
Right.
he's like, yeah, I found out Gozer's coming back, like I don't believe they would have just like not
Right,
helped him.
like he could have brought Ray down there and took pictures of Evo sitting in his little coffin.
That's the other thing is like you could maybe believe that Venkman would have been like, fuck off, maybe.
Yeah,
But Ray like loves this shit. Like he
Yeah,
would have
right.
been there,
yeah. Ray was definitely like the conspiracy guy.
Yeah. There's no way Ray wouldn't have went. So I had a hard time kind of believing that whole setup, but whatever. So yeah, they roll into this house, and yeah, it's like you were saying, like a real shithole.
Yeah, it's like a decaying Victorian. There's like a basically collapsed barn like next to it.
Yeah. And apparently Egon doesn't believe in bookcases because he just has like a pile of books like on the floor. Like,
Well, that was from the first one too, like the book stacking or whatever.
God,
Library.
I probably watched Ghostbusters a couple years ago, and like,
Yeah, there's a lot of those references.
so is the book stacking just in the library, or were they doing that at the firehouse?
No, when they go down into the library and they're looking for the ghost, the first ghost in the beginning, like they just come across this pile of book stacking that are just stacked vertically in the middle of the aisles.
I mean, was that something the ghost did or the
Presumably
library?
the
did?
ghost, yeah. It was something weird.
Oh, so are we to believe that maybe a ghost did that in this house?
I think it was Egon.
Just a callback.
Just a callback. Oh, so yeah, they're in this house. They're kind of looking around, and then all of a sudden there's an earthquake. So they hide underneath a table, and that's where Phoebe can see under the chair the little EMF detector.
Right.
And then I think
Oh, so the earthquakes, like they were talking about fracking. Like, was that something that was helping Gozer get released or something, or was that its own thing? Or?
No, basically they're just trying to explain why there's all these earthquakes in the middle of this place where there's never any earthquakes.
Oh, okay, so they thought maybe it's fracking, maybe it's something else.
Right, because like in the real world, like there have been places like that where you really didn't have anything until they fracked a bunch, and then they start getting on these earthquakes.
that is a crazy thing in Oklahoma, I believe. They started getting earthquakes in places they never did, and it was caused by the fracking. So that is pretty crazy. But yeah, a real thing. God, I'm trying to trying to remember what happens next. I know at one point, maybe not now, but like she goes upstairs in her room, and like there's chess pieces that get thrown on the floor, and like she puts them back, and then she notices like a move, and this goes on a few times.
There's a number of small indicators that there's a ghost, and it's pretty obvious it's Egon.
You know what? I actually, until the very end of the movie, I didn't put it together that it was Egon. I thought it could have just been like a random ghost.
Oh,
But
no, I was sure it was Egon.
I wasn't sure about that. I guess at the very end, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It was Egon. But I thought maybe it could have just been,
No, but at one point she's like, "How are you so smart?" And he like even points the light towards a degree, and she's like, "Oh, okay, you're a genius." And it's one of Egon's degrees.
Oh, well, I put it together that in that scene that it was Egon helping her, but for some reason I just thought at the beginning of the movie I thought maybe there was all kinds of ghosts in this house, so that I thought maybe they were going to discover like other things, and then I was just not thinking right at the time.
Well, there was, I think it comes a little later in the movie because there's a couple encounters, and one of them I thought maybe ghosts were being released. Like maybe I thought maybe like he had storage on site or something, and it was leaking. Like I wasn't sure, but like at some point, like the brother goes out with his friends and the girl, and they're like at this well, and like something comes shooting out of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to talk about. So yeah, we're skipping ahead a little bit, but that's fine. So yeah, Finn Wolfhard, and like he gets a job at this fast food restaurant. I think it's called Spinners or something like that, because they go there and like there's this girl he's got a crush on, so he ends up getting a job there to try to get closer to her. Anyway, those two and like a bunch of her friends, they go up. So like there's this mine that the whole thing revolves around. That's where like all the spirits are coming from, and the earthquakes and everything. But yeah, they go like basically on the top of this mine where there's like the shaft that goes downwards into it, and like he's looking down there, and like there's this huge like fireball or something that goes, and it says "goes" or and it like shoots up, and like all the teens there are just like, whoa, look at that or whatever. Like they didn't have the reaction to it that I thought they should have had to it. They're like, what the fuck was that? Maybe we should go tell the authorities that something really weird just happened.
Yeah, that was weird to me too. I thought they'd react more, but they were just like, "Whoa, that's so cool!" And I was like, "I'd be like,
that's not normal, man. That fireballs are coming out of a fucking mine shaft.
Yeah,
maybe we should go tell somebody."
I got 30 pounds of shit in my 10-pound pair of pants.
I think right there, the girl should have been like, "Oh yeah, my dad's the sheriff. Maybe I'll just go tell this to him." So that was a bit crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to the beginning. So yeah, he gets the job at the fast food restaurant, and then for some reason, like the girl starts going to school, but it's like a weird like summer school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, which really doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I was like,
'Cause
why does she
doesn't
have
need
to?
that.
Yeah.
But so basically this is an opening to introduce a few other characters. But yeah, she's going to summer school. It opens on what's her teacher's name? Mr.
Gruberson.
Which we had a teacher named Mr. Gruber.
Yeah.
But
he wasn't as cool as Paul Rudd.
right. And so basically he's there. This is like a side job because his main job is a seismologist, and for some reason he's teaching this class on the side. But basically he just puts in like movies like Cujo and shit for them to watch while he goes and does his other job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty random. But at some point, like she goes back there and sees him and talks to him about it, and so they kind of get drawn in together.
And that's also right before then is when she meets like her friend for the movie, which is this kid that calls him. It's called Podcast because
he has a podcast.
Yeah, and he's always like with a microphone. Which that character I thought was kind of stupid and unnecessary, but whatever.
I mean, I can see having another character, but he does kind of rub me weird. He just calls himself Podcast.
Yeah. Well, I thought he was there because, like, they focused on her lack of social skills, and then she found a kid who was like kind of like her, like had similar interests anyway. So
I will say, so yeah, they introduced this thing to where like she's very socially awkward, and like in the car, the brother's like, tell tell us a joke or whatever, and she tells like this really corny dad joke, which she'll do like throughout the movie. But when she meets Paul Rudd, I forget exactly how the joke goes, but she tells this like obtuse triangle joke, and then she like winks at him, and he's like, "Wait, was that a joke? That was awful, but it's fantastic or something."
She's like, "Yeah, it's a joke. That's why I winked."
It definitely made me laugh, like the way she delivered it. It was funny. So yeah, she like sees like his seismology stuff, and she's like, genius enough to notice that something's odd as well. And he shows like, this is what it looks like, the line when it's an earthquake. This is what it looks like if it's an explosion. But these weird ones have this kind of shape or whatever. Let's see.
Also, the trap she found at one point, she brought it into class. And, like, he recognized it for what it was. And so kind of like he's tying in, like, kind of what it's about, even though she doesn't really know.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the order of things. So, like, yeah, at some point at the house, like, what leads her to the... Does she just happen to see the little chunk in the floor?
Maybe, but I don't know. There's multiple times where she has the meter, and she kind of follows it around.
Oh,
and,
maybe
like, he leads her to different places.
Okay, maybe the meter...
It could have been something like that.
But yeah, like you were talking about earlier, like she finds this weird spot in the floor and she ends up doing this like really intricate like puzzle, and that leads her to find the trap that's hidden in there. And then she brings that to school, and like Paul Rudd's like aware of the Ghostbusters, and like the world's aware of it. They're like, oh yeah, in the 80s all this weird shit happened.
Yeah, and then it went away.
But then, yeah, it went away. Which, I don't know if I like that either. I kind of like the idea that there would have been, like, Ghostbuster stories happening all along, even if it wasn't with the main Ghostbusters.
Yeah, and, well, I mean, even with the second Ghostbusters, it's something separate. And the cartoons have a lot of separate stuff going on. But there was something in the first one about how, like, how much it had increased, like, leading up to the big event, I guess. Like, the whole Twinkie analogy.
Now, you'll probably remember that, like, I like the Ghostbusters. I'm probably kind of a casual fan, but I've always kind of liked, and this is an unpopular opinion, but I've always kind of liked the Ghostbusters 2 better than the original. But isn't there a thing that at the beginning of Ghostbusters 2 where, like, they become, like, they're, like, doing, like, children's entertainment and stuff because, like, for some reason, even though all this stuff happened with Gozer, like...
They're basically broke after that.
Yeah, they're basically broke, and, like, people, like, regard them as, like, nothing, even though there's so much evidence that they, like, saved New York, which...
Yeah, apparently they also had a lot of lawsuits due to that or something.
Yeah, so there was a bit of weirdness at the beginning of Ghostbusters 2, even though I liked the film. Okay, but back to this movie. So yeah, she gets the trap, she brings it to school, and at first Paul Rudd just thinks like it's a cool replica.
Right.
But then they're like fucking with it, and like this little like weird like smoke or something.
Puff of smoke or something
comes out of it. And he's like, oh shit, it's real. And then he shows like basically YouTube videos to Phoebe and podcasts of like the original Ghostbusters.
Right.
And because I think like she wasn't aware of them, right?
Well, maybe she didn't seem like super informed about them, but yeah.
Yeah, she didn't know about them.
Or maybe at that point at least, maybe she didn't realize that Egon was her.
Yeah, she definitely didn't know Egon was her granddad.
Yeah. But then like Paul Rudd decides he's going to do an experiment with the trap and like open it. So he like hooks some jumper cables to it from like a school bus. And you know, one thing I thought was weird is like the podcast kid is sitting behind the wheel, but he still makes him put on the protective glasses. I'm like, what does he think's going to happen? Like, is the wind? Well, I guess it was good a call because the
kid's
bus
always got like the props. Like he's got different goggles and headsets.
Yeah.
And,
the microphone.
yeah, and like the little RC car. he's almost a prop himself.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, the trap opens, and we find out that Egon had trapped one of those devil dogs in it.
Right, it escapes and basically it shoots straight back to
the mine.
To the mine.
And it breaks like all the windows in the buses and shit. Oh, and it busts the window out of Paul Rudd's car, which will come back into play. God, trying to remember this is tough.
It's a little bit weird because at some point, like, doesn't Paul Rudd kind of invite himself back to her house to drop him off or something?
That's right. Yes. Okay. So Paul Rudd drives him back to the house, and then him and Carrie Coon, their mother, they start kind of like flirting. You can definitely see like they kind of like each other.
Yeah, and is this the part where it kind of comes out that Egon is the granddad? I don't remember exactly where that's. It's revealed at some point.
Oh, she sees the suit. She sees different.
The suit that says Spangler.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So at some point, like, time goes along, and she finds this shed.
Right. Egon leads her out to the shed.
Yeah, and of course, another callback. There's a fire pole, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That goes.
It goes to the barn basement, I guess.
Right. And so this is goes to the part you were referencing. She gets down there, and like the light starts moving, and we see that like Egon is like down there, and he's like kind of leading her around.
Right, and through all of this, like he guides her to, I guess, like a proton pack that's broken or something.
Yeah, and he like shows like the tools to use to fix it.
Right, and she's smart enough to fix it.
Yeah,
so,
which of course is just a conceit you got to buy into with this
Right.
movie.
Yeah, because I was like, man, how does this kid have experience with these things?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, man, Marvel Comics has like so many child geniuses too, and it gets a little ridiculous at points.
Well, like anything that's a genius where they. Even like Iron Man, I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
this is like a million man like project.
Yeah.
You need a whole entire R&D research.
He's like, it was me and Jarvis, and I built Jarvis.
Once you build Jarvis, the rest is easy.
The rest takes care of itself.
It goes against like human history.
Yeah,
what we've been doing up until now. One guy making an incredible army of suits. No, that's crazy.
But yeah, so she gets a proton pack, and she also, I guess this would be where she discovers that Egon is her grandfather. Now, this happens later, but like, so like she discovers like multiple Ghostbuster suits, but later on, like her and her brother and like his girlfriend or whatever, they all suit up, and just conveniently, Egon would have Ghostbuster suits that fit little kids.
right. Yeah,
so that part I was like kind of eye rolling on.
One size fits all.
Yeah,
and we didn't hit on it, but at some point also, like the brother found the Ecto-1 out in the garage.
Yeah.
So he'd been kind of tinkering with that.
Yeah, he was
He'd been
kind of
driving around.
And you know what I found was kind of stupid? Like, there's an early scene where like he kind of lifts the tarp up on it, and it kind of like briefly like shows it, but then like covers it up again, and it's like we're watching fucking Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Like, we know what it is.
Yeah.
You don't have to like tease us.
What? Something happens? Does the light go out or something? And it's like poo. And,
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
well,
This is a Ghostbusters movie we're watching here, guys.
if I would have thought about it in the audience, it would have been like, oh, I think that's the Echo.
Yeah, who were they trying to like? Were they trying to build suspense or something so we could see it later and be like, oh?
Yeah, I don't know.
Although, you know what? I remember this. I went and watched the Force Awakens in theater, and when Carrie Fisher showed up on screen, this guy in the audience was genuinely like couldn't believe it. He's like, oh, she's in this movie, and I was like, how the fuck did this guy not know she was in this movie? This guy was on media fucking blackout. I was like, he didn't watch any of the trailers. He didn't follow anything. I was like, man, this guy, he didn't get any spoilers.
But at the same time, I was very excited about the movie.
Yeah, and he knew she was dead, so that one she kept.
Well, this was the Force Awakens, so the first movie in that trilogy. So
okay.
she wasn't dead at that time.
Okay. Huh.
But yeah, he was just like genuinely shocked. And I was like, really, guy? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So now she fixes the proton pack. So she and Podcast like go out in this field because she's gonna like test it. And I forget. I think they shoot at like an old car or something. Or something.
Right, he sets out a bunch of bottles, and they have like the old gunslinger.
Yeah, and she turns it on and basically just like destroys whatever
melts
they're shooting
everything.
at, melts everything. And then like, and he has like some goggles he's playing with. Now this is something I thought was a little too convenient. So they like there's like this like warehouse nearby, and they just happen to hear this like noise or whatever, and they go and investigate. And this is another thing like where it's like, I think trying to be too nostalgic. So it's not Slimer, but it's a character that's just like Slimer that leaves slime all over, but he munches on steel. So I think that don't they call him Muncher?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, it's not Slimer, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably could have been Slimer. But
It could have been like any other ghost. It didn't have to be a Slimer clone, But yeah, she like she zaps it, and he's going to trap it, but he like fucks up with the trap, and it gets away. And then I don't know if this is exactly. There's probably some stuff in between that I'm forgetting. But her brother gets the Ecto-1 running, and he's like joyriding it through the fields.
right, and I guess like they're walking down the road, and they kind of meet at some point by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also at the same time, Carrie Coon and Paul Rudd are going on a date.
All right, the date.
Yeah. So they...
And the mother, like, we haven't talked about this, but the mother has like very like negative feelings towards her father, Egon, because she thinks that he like left her and the family and ditched them. And
Yeah.
so everybody pretty much hates Egon at this point. Like the old Ghostbusters, his daughter. The only one who kind of is like intrigued by him is the granddaughter, Phoebe.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And Gruber.
Yeah.
Gruber.
This is another thing is like they play it like their dialogue is like they're starting a romance, but at the same time they don't seem like they have any chemistry or anything in common. I'm just like, I don't know about this one. Maybe you should let this one go.
That's the sexiest man alive. You can't let him go.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, they
I guess when you're in Somersville, you take what you can get.
they get in the Ecto-1, and like, I can't remember if they like immediately like say, "Oh, there's this ghost on the run. Can we go look for him?"
Yeah, I don't remember the. Basically, they do go out hunting Muncher though.
Yeah,
But
and
they're looking for signs of him or something.
I also remember like she tells her brother at this point that, hey, our grandfather was Egon Spangler, the Ghostbuster.
Right.
So yeah, they go and they drive into town, and they just happen to see Muncher, and he's munching on a fire hydrant.
Well, they did find some signs. Like there's a bite out of like a stop sign and like bites out of things.
Oh yeah, so they did see like some evidence, but yeah, they basically find him, and like
Basically, cue the action scene where they chase him and
yeah, so the Ecto-1 now has like this seat that moves out to the side
ride a
because
gunner
they
seat.
didn't have that in the other movies, did they?
I don't know. They had it in the animated cartoon though.
Oh, did they? Cool.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it in any of the movies.
But anyway, another thing, Egon was like, I bet one day this will come in handy. I'm going to build this into the Ecto. Another like convenient kind of thing. But yeah, basically they're going, Phoebe's in the gunner seat, and she's like trying to hit Muncher, but she's like destroying a bunch of, property.
Right.
And
Collateral damage.
also I think Muncher like runs right through like Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon's date or something as well.
Yeah, that's right. He flies through the restaurant.
Yeah. So they're like disturbing the whole city, but she does get finally she hits Muncher with the proton pack, and Podcast he put the trap on a remote control car which he's trying to guide to get under Muncher, And then, like, Muncher is heading to the cave because apparently that's where all the spirits go.
Spirit Central.
But they do end up capturing Muncher, like, right by the cave. But then the police, the old po-po, show up and arrest the kids.
You have to have that, like, government official you don't like. Although he wasn't dislikable. But, like, in the first one, you had that one guy. What was his?
Walter Peck.
Peck, yeah.
It's true. This man has no penis.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get arrested, and this is where we find out that Finn Wolfhard's love interest, her father, is the sheriff of this small town.
And he was in in one of those Fargo seasons.
Yeah, Fargo. He was in Fargo season 2, and he was also in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
And he was really good in that.
Yeah, he's a good actor. And they confiscate the proton pack, which pisses off Phoebe. But basically, Paul Rudd and the mother show up to get them.
Yeah.
And then they go back home. And
Well, there's a little bit more because she gets one phone call in there.
Oh, you're right. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So basically, she gets her one phone call from the police, and earlier from watching like the Ghostbusters video, she wrote down their phone number, or whatever, and so she calls this phone number, and it picks up, and it's Ray's occult.
Yeah.
So apparently, like Ray's got like an occult shop somewhere.
Right. Which I don't know if that was in the movies, but it's definitely in the comic books.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I've read maybe one or two of the comics, not a lot, but yeah, Ray's a cult, and they kind of get into it, and at some point he's like, you know what, fuck Egon Spengler, and that's where he goes into the story about how he stole all the equipment and just kind of ditched them, and all this, kind of how they broke up or whatever, and she's like, well, I'm his granddaughter, and he's kind of like, oh. And then she's like, he died 2 weeks ago, and he's like, oh. Ah, damn it. He's like, I stepped in it this time.
Should have been nicer to this voice that definitely belongs to a child.
I thought that too. I was like, yeah, she's pretty obviously a kid. And also she mentioned she only gets one phone call. So what are you thinking at this point? It's like, isn't got a kid to get one phone call? You know what? Fuck Egon Spengler.
Tough luck, kid.
But yeah, basically at some point, she conveys enough information to get across the point to him anyway.
Which will come back into play
And
later
then,
on.
yeah, the phone call gets cut off, and yeah, then they go about their merry way.
Yeah, so they go back home. I'm trying to remember what happens.
Well, after the one,
All their stuff gets confiscated too by the sheriff, so they don't have it anymore.
right, there's that. It seems like there was an extra pack or something maybe in the car. I don't remember. But basically when Paul Rudd and them, they released the thing from the trap, it went back to the mine, and there was a big carving on the wall with Gozer in the androgynous form and the two dogs.
Oh, yeah, we missed a scene where Herb Podcast went and checked out the mine.
Right, that's kind of a ways back where they went on a little trip and he showed it to her, whatever.
Yeah.
But it basically shows, I think, the dog part breaking when the spirit gets back there. So it gets out in the world, and then we're about to the part where the dogs are going to go try to find people to possess to be the keymaster and the gatekeeper.
Now, at some point, and I think this is before the final thing where they get all geared up, the kids take a trip to the mine, and they find this coffin there with this old guy in it, and they also see this pit, and they look down in the pit, and it has all these souls that are trying to escape, but when they come up,
I think that's essentially Gozer.
I think so too. But every time it comes up, basically Egon set this trap where these like 4 proton packs come down and hit it and basically knock
Drive
it
it
down.
back, yeah.
Now-
Which causes the earthquake.
Now, I got a question. This is another thing that didn't make sense to me. So they basically just take, this ride down into the mine that miners and a lot of other people I would think would have before. Did nobody else find this coffin with this old guy in it and all this weird shit?
Well, I think it was his mine, right? Like he was part of the mining thing, so he was creating the selenium beams, which he made the skyscraper back in New York out of. So like he was part of that operation.
Fair enough, but like...
Somebody would have discovered him.
Yeah, I mean, Egon had been down there. And like, this was a mine, so you would have thought there'd have been miners and workers and people in there. So like, I just didn't know how it went so long without, people discovering that body and all the weird shit that was down there.
I wonder if there's any chance like Egon owned that property.
I don't think they ever say that. I mean, it'd make a little more sense if he did, but like, even if he did, I would have thought somebody else would have discovered it.
Right.
It just, that part of it didn't really make a lot of sense to me.
But yeah, they go down there. There's a coffin with what is it, Ivo Sandor or something like that.
A weird name like that. I couldn't remember.
But basically, he was the guy who had been trying to bring back Gozer, and like he led this cult of Gozer that was trying to bring him back.
Yeah, he apparently died in like 1948 or something or 1945 or something like that.
And this is another part of his plan. Is like he thinks if Gozer comes back, he's gonna come back to life. So he's got his coffin there ready to go.
Also, they find on the wall in there's all these years written down, which correspond to like
the coming of Gozer, or times where he's tried to come or something.
Something like that. Like I think there's like a 1984 one where the first movie is, and
right. And there's some with like natural disasters before that.
Yeah, like Pompeii or something.
Yeah.
And there's a 2021. And didn't you I didn't catch this, but didn't you say there was like a year after 2021, like 20?
I thought there was where it hinted at like 2030 something.
It looked like it. There was
setting up
another
a
year.
sequel.
Yeah.
They had it covered up though, I thought.
Yeah, I don't know if it showed it all or if I was just like hallucinating.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they've got that, and they've got Gozer trapped down in there. But I don't know if it's like a little before this or after this that the dogs have been released.
So I think it's, well, right around this time, because I think they're going to go back home and discover that the mom has been...
Right, so the dogs are out hunting while they're in this mine or something, maybe.
I think while they're in the mine...
Because the one's chasing Paul Rudd. And,
yeah, so while they're in the mine, the mom discovers the thing in the barn with the pole that goes down.
Right, she goes down there.
And she goes down there, and then this is where she kind of has her aha moment, where she sees all of her like pictures throughout the years on the wall, and like Egon's also down there. She with like directing the light, and so she finds out, oh, he wasn't a total piece of shit. Like he did love me,
right? Because she had a lot of like psychological issues.
Right. So she finds out, oh, like he did love me, but he knew this bad shit was going on, and that's what was like, taking him away. And then at that point, the same thick fog rolls in that we saw at the beginning of the movie that got him. And this, I believe, is the scene where your oldest son got scared and had to leave the theater, right?
All right, yeah. When she was possessed. Well, when they come back and find her possessed, that's about where he left.
Oh, okay. And yeah, also, it had to have been around this same time, product placement time. Paul Rudd takes a trip to Walmart.
Right.
And I hated this kind of, because, so like he's in the aisle with the Stay Puft marshmallows, and they start to come to life. They just happen when he's there to come to life with this bag of marshmallows, and they're all cute and stuff. Now the thing is like in the first Ghostbusters movie, the whole like marshmallow thing, like that was like Ray's like imagination, like conjured that, right? There was a story reason for it. Here it was just like, oh, we want to do more nostalgic shit for some random reason. We're gonna have the marshmallows come to life.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a story reason for it. It was just like, well, we want to find a way to. It seemed forced to me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, it was kind of forced in there. I agree.
And then, like after that, then he just happens to come upon the other demon dog in the Walmart.
Right.
So it was just very convenient that he would be the one there, and that they would all just happen to come together at that Walmart. It just that whole scene just kind of I thought bothered me. I thought it was just a little too convenient. But anyway, the dog starts chasing him. He comes out. He dives through the broken. There's no windshield in his car,
Right.
so he just like dives into his car. I don't know if they actually do. They show the dog like attack him, or do we just?
I think he cuts out right there.
Yeah. It never like goes into detail how that works, but basically both the mom and Paul Rudd are now possessed by the demon dogs. So the kids, I think they race back home just to like tell their mom the stuff they found in the mine or something.
Yeah, it could be.
And that's when they discovered that she's gone Looney Tunes. She is possessed, and she like starts like dog running through the field.
Right. Towards the mine, yeah.
Yeah. She puts it together because like the barn had the word dirt like painted on it. And she's finally like, oh, there's this shit in the dirt that's like a big trap, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't put that together. I thought it was just graffiti because they called him the dirt farmer.
No, they were like little cords or something in the dirt.
Yeah.
It was all part of that giant trap.
And so she like went down back into the barn basement, and like this is kind of where they suit up and put the plan together. Now she figured out that they needed the power generators that failed in the beginning to work.
Right, the capacitor.
But did she have a plan to make those work? I couldn't.
I don't know if she didn't know that they weren't working.
Right, she
Like,
didn't
she
know.
knew what they were for. But I don't think she realized that they'd failed or something.
Yeah, I can't remember. But basically, the plan is like her.
Part of me was kind of wondering if like Egon had fixed them or something. I was like, yeah, I don't know. Let's find out.
Basically, her podcast and her brother are going to go to the mine, and then I think their plan is to basically get Gozer to follow them back to the barn, where the brother's love interest. She's going to stay at the farm and try to get the trap working or lay in wait or
Like flip a switch or something.
yeah, flip the switch.
I forget. Isn't there like a role swap where the mom is released and then like it goes to the girl or something? Because the mom and Paul Rudd meet out by the mine and like get down and dirty.
Yeah.
That's another thing is like, yeah, there's this like prophecy that like the gatekeeper and the keymaster like have to have sex to bring forth Gozer or something.
Right. So they take care of that part, right?
Yeah.
It's a good first date.
Which for a kids movie seems like a weird scene to put in there, but yeah. But yeah, that's what
like,
happens, I guess.
Grows a magic dress and everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that.
It'd be funny if like at the end of the movie Paul Rudd just like, man, my dick really burns.
Why did it have horns?
But yeah, so yeah, the kids get all suited up. Now I don't remember where they found all the proton packs because like
Well, they broke back into the jail or something, the evidence area.
oh yeah.
They let go
yeah, I
that
forgot about
muncher.
that, yeah.
That's right. So yeah, they break back into the police station, but the proton pack and the trap are behind this locked steel gate. And like Podcast gets the idea to release Muncher, so Muncher munches through the steel gate, so they get the proton pack and the trap back. But that was just one proton pack. Where did they get all the others? Were they in the barn?
I think when they suited up with the suits, they must have gotten the
I
proton
don't
packs.
know. Maybe it seems like there was one in the car. So yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. Like how many they have, but also like, well, I guess this also is kind of a plot hole. Well, I don't want to jump ahead just yet, but okay, because I'm forgetting. Like at the very end, isn't Paul Rudd's in? He has to break out of the dog suit, but doesn't the black girl have to break out of a dog suit? And the mom
Yeah,
has
she
been
did.
freed. Like, how did they separate the mom? Like, when did that happen?
God, yeah.
Because then Gozer comes.
Well, let's go back. So they get the proton pack and the trap from the police station, and they head to the mine. Oh, and we actually missed a scene. Paul Rudd, as possessed, he gets rid of Egon's trap.
Mm-hmm.
He gets. I mean, those are proton packs, but I don't think they took those ones. So they go there, and then shit starts to go down. Well, Gozer's already there.
That's right. Yeah, Paul Rudd. He breaks the trap, so Gozer is released from.
Gozer's released. And so, yeah, they come upon the scene, and basically there's possessed Paul Rudd, possessed their mom, and Gozer. And Phoebe, like, starts telling a bad joke to Gozer to get Gozer's attention.
Had like a little Guardians of Galaxy kind of thing to it.
Yeah. And at the same time, Podcast is trying to get the trap in place.
Right, he rolls the trap up under the dog.
Oh, so that's what releases the mother, isn't it?
Right, they must trap that entity for a while, and then the mom's just released.
Something like that, yeah. But yeah, and basically I think they all get in the Ecto-1 and they get out of there.
Okay, that makes sense.
And at some point before that, the old dead guy comes back to life, but then Gozer just immediately kills him.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
When Gozer comes out, like he comes to life, and he walks up, and he's like, "I did this for you. We can rule together." Some bullshit, and she just like rips him in half.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you put in a lot of work. Yeah. It was worth a shot, I guess.
So yeah, they get in the car, and now they go back to the farm where they got the trap set up. And God, you guys are gonna have to help me here, because I know at one point, like, the girlfriend comes out with the proton pack, but do they try the trap thing and it still doesn't work because of the electricity?
Yeah.
Right. So the first, they must have two, right? Because they tried to cross the beams. Or does
I think that was later.
That's later.
I mean, they all like put their I think,
she shoots it and she's trying to get the mom to trap it,
yeah.
and like it's not the trap doesn't work, and then like eventually Gozer escapes from the beam.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other girl comes out after the trap doesn't work. She gets a beam on him, and the brother is trying to, but we find out that the marshmallows infiltrated Ecto-1,
Right.
and they're like fucking with his proton pack.
Yeah.
So it won't work. And so Podcast is trying to deal with those to, do that.
Yeah.
So because he can't get the beam on Gozer,
They don't have enough.
they don't have enough, and so like it pulls the girl in, and that's when she gets, I guess, like hit by the entity,
Right. I
the
guess
dog entity.
Gozer must have like did broke the other trap open or something.
Must have. I
Yeah.
think.
So then it took.
So basically,
possession of
yeah.
her.
So now Paul Rudd and the girl are possessed.
Right.
So basically, yeah, things have all gone to hell. The good guys are basically in trouble, and this is where the OG Ghostbusters come in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we got Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and Winston
Ernie
Hudson.
Hudson. Yeah.
And so they put their beams on Gozer.
They have like 3 streams that are crossed.
Oh yeah, they're like cross the streams, and yet another callback to the original. But like this time, Gozer's stronger and like starts to untangle the streams,
Right, like it figured out the tricks.
and it like blows them back into Ecto 1. So like that's not working. So then, like, I remember Bill Murray's like trying to distract Gozer.
Oh yeah, it's
Like
like
he's
you're
talking
hitting on me,
shit.
you love me, you're in love with me.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's trying to give the others more time to.
I guess basically, yeah.
He's stalling or something. But basically, I guess they must start like trying again. I think
Like the girl ties Gozer up again, right?
I think so.
And then they get back on her, and the trap still isn't working.
And then I think
The brother,
He shoots the
like
top.
he
of-
gets his going.
yeah. So podcast like deals with the marshmallows, so that gets the brothers' proton pack going, and he basically shoots the electrical thing, which
Right, the capacitor
which
banks.
powers the traps. And I guess at some point here, Phoebe is like struggling, but then all of a sudden this hand comes and helps
steadies the beam.
the beam, and we see they did a digital recreation of Harold Ramis.
Right, and I guess it's kind of like they don't really know how they did it, but it may have been like from B-roll from some of the other movies combined with CGI. So they pulled out some tricks to get him in there.
It didn't look bad.
Yeah, look
Yeah,
at
it was pretty good.
And so, yeah, basically, Ghost Egon, with his help, they're able to save the day. They get the trap working, and so Gozer's trapped, and the dog entities are trapped. It does leave like this weird, like I guess, like dog shell around Paul Rudd and the girl that they
Right.
have to break out of.
Yeah, same as the first one.
And then basically there's some good moments with Egon, with Phoebe, and with the original Ghostbusters, and of course he can't talk.
Right,
so it's
he
just
doesn't
kinda
talk. It's just kind of like head
nonverbal.
nods.
yeah.
And then he has like the good moment with his daughter, and and then basically
Disappears.
he disappears because it's like that unfinished business
Right.
ghost thing.
The Gozer thing was his unfinished business.
I will say that I thought there was like some good like emotional beats in that part of it.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. You could tell they all were. They all had their own emotions about it. So.
I heard her at there's a podcast I listen to where they review movies, and like they thought like they really didn't like that part. They said they thought it was like ghoulish and like that they did that with Harold Ramis and like recreated him. But I'm like, I don't know. I thought
it fit pretty well.
I thought it was tasteful, and I also thought like, obviously I don't know what Harold Ramis would have thought, but I mean, it was like Ivan Reitman, the original director. This was directed by his son. I have a feeling like he would have been cool with it, which
Yeah.
is kind of what makes me think that like I'm okay with it. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Who knows? But
I'm still waiting for him to bring back Stan Lee, but I don't know.
I mean, like as long as Harold Ramis' family got like a check out of it, that's all.
yeah, that part of it, I imagine they probably did. I don't
Yeah.
really know how that stuff works.
Yeah, I think that's a definitely. I think that's still kind of a gray area of how they deal with that stuff. But
But it was kind of a nice tribute, and it even goes up into the sky, and it says "For Harold,"
Yeah.
so they dedicate it to him right there. And then one thing I didn't really understand is like Ernie Hudson's like, "Oh, I'll take the Ecto one back to New York or whatever."
well, I think that's a call to another movie. Basically, it shows him driving back to New York, and you kind of think maybe he's going to fix it up, and there's going to be,
But you would think if they do another movie that it would focus on Phoebe and the characters in this movie, wouldn't you?
I would definitely think they'd be the main part. I mean, I don't think you'd go back to just do a movie with a bunch of like 80, 90-year-olds.
Do you think if they do another movie though, like with this cast, that they're going to find an excuse to bring them back to New York, or do you think they would? Because I don't know, I kind of like the rural setting.
Yeah, it was a nice change. Yeah, I mean, you could do almost anything, I guess. So I don't know.
But yeah, basically the movie ends. We see the Ecto-1 driving back into New York, and then we get the cool Ghostbusters theme song. Although, I think they cut out the Bustin' Makes Me Feel Good line.
Bustin' makes me feel like I didn't even know that was in there for years.
I never heard that before. I
Yeah.
didn't know I heard it.
Probably heard it, and yeah, you just didn't. Like you're a kid, and you're just like, Bustin' makes me feel good. I wish I was busting right now.
You said it the other day. When did you pick up on this?
It was like, I don't even want to say it was like that long ago.
It was on a podcast. I remember you said it, and I was like, "What? You've never heard that?" Like, I couldn't believe it.
I brought, that's probably about the time I learned about it, because I was like, hey, did you guys know this? I was like, I was listening to this the other day. Yeah, Bustin' makes me
Yeah, I
feel
couldn't
good.
believe you didn't hear about that before. But and then now there was a mid-credit sequence with Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver, where they basically kind of recreate that scene from the first Ghostbusters, except now like he's guessing the shapes on the card and she's shocking him. Now they don't. I don't think they necessarily say it there, but is the implication that those two are now like a couple, like together?
It seemed like it.
Possibly, or just still friends. I don't know. One thing I was thinking about, like, that was bugging me recently is, like, in the second movie, there's the baby, and then I was like, wait, is this Dana and Lewis's baby from when they, like, fucked as dogs? But I looked it up and I was like, oh no, there's like 5 years in between. It's not. It's not like a possessed baby.
No, it's just some guy, but I don't think. Are we ever introduced to the baby's father? I don't think so.
Well, when I looked it up, it said it was probably the violin guy,
Oh,
the
okay.
musician.
Okay. Now, from what I understand, there actually was an end credit
Scene that we missed.
scene too, but we didn't stay that long. So who knows? It probably wasn't nothing. It was probably like Muncher munching on something for.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't anything
Might have to
important.
like YouTube it and see,
Muncher.
watch it, and then be like, oh yeah, that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
You always want more out of those scenes.
Yeah. Man, I was one of the podcasts I listen to also like they sometimes do like, reader questions or whatever. And this one guy said at his movie theater in his town, like when there's Marvel movies and stuff, like his theater's cool enough they'll actually fast forward through the credits and go directly to those mid-credit and end credit scenes.
That's the way to do it.
I know. I'm like, that's a cool theater, man.
They know what the people want.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, is there anything else that we missed, or anything else you can think of that we might maybe add to the Ghostbusters?
I don't know. I got about 3 gallons of piss in my blood or so.
I'm good.
Well, with that in mind, what would you guys give this as a final score, do you think, between 0 and 10?
I give it a 7 out of 10.
I'd do 8.
Yeah, I'm 7.2, somewhere in there. Yeah. Like I said, I think it is a solid, good time. I would definitely recommend seeing it, but I think it does do a little too much similar plot points to the first movie, and I wish it would have done like a different villain, and it could have not done the marshmallow thing, in my opinion. But other than that, I really did enjoy it. And now, do you guys think they will start making more Ghostbuster movies? I mean, obviously, I guess it depends how well this one does.
I think any franchise that's doing well is going to get done and done and done. But hopefully, I mean, I like this cast. I'd like to see more of them.
Yeah, me too.
But like you said, definitely like the girl and the brother. I think have big roles to play.
What about Paul Rudd?
I can give or take Paul Rudd.
It's funny because, like, many years ago, I was thinking they should just, make more Ghostbusters movies, but just recast all the main people.
Because I think if you came back, what I would want to see is probably like the kids taking under the wing of one or two of the old Ghostbusters.
That would be fine. But what I was going to say is, like, if they did recast all the old Ghostbusters, like, Paul Rudd would have been my pick for the Venkman character.
He's like a straight man, though. Venkman's like
he's-
sarcastic. He is deadpan.
Paul Rudd in some of his stuff is pretty sarcastic.
Maybe.
I thought he would have worked, but you could have like Idris Elba as Winston. I think
He's too
Yeah,
handsome for
Man,
Winston.
Winston's going to be kicking ass and taking names
I
here.
know. You put Idris Elba at Winston, he's gonna be like a playboy James Bond type of Winston.
I think Jack Black would make a pretty good Ray.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Egon's a little tougher. I thought maybe
Egon's tough.
I think his name's Michael Emerson, the guy from that Person of Interest show. Like I thought maybe he would make a good Egon.
No, I don't know who he is.
I want Moss from the IT crowd.
Okay.
I still haven't seen that show, so I don't know. But maybe
Love Moss.
I love Moss too. Yeah.
but yeah,
You're lucky. You got a show you can watch then if you haven't seen it yet.
I haven't.
It's funny. It's really pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, everybody go watch Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Bustin' makes me feel good.
And also watch us every week. But hey, anybody who's listened and watched, we thank you very, very much. Please tell all your friends and everybody about us, or share our clips and stuff on YouTube and social media, and that would be great. Like, subscribe both to the YouTube feed and your podcast feed. That helps a lot. If you're feeling really energetic, leave us a 5-star review or a positive review. That's very welcome as well. Leave us comments, questions, that sort of thing would be nice. And go ahead and follow us on Twitter, guys. Where can people find you on Twitter?
I am at a name for this too, and that's number 2.
At unsolicited SUG.
And you can, of course, find me at Zach Jones Live. That's ZachJonesLive. And that is going to do it for all of our shenanigans and poppycock this week. Please, please, please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Take care.
I got to piss.